Hey everyone! On my previous video, I tried to talk about the Virginia gun control debate, especially with the upcoming gun rally on this Monday. And as you guys already pointed out, there was no sound whatsoever. I checked it into the video, tried to figure out what the problems were, and I managed to figure that out, as you can already hear. So in response to what has happened, I will be making a second version of the video in order to make up for the problem of what happened. Again, thank you so much for pointing this out to me, and I apologize. So let's get into it. Virginia has been dealing with a whole lot of issues in terms of the gun control debate, especially with how tensions seem to be rising. I mean, really, really rising. It doesn't really help how Ralph Northam has issued a state of emergency and even went so far as to ban weapons on Capitol Square in Richmond for the entire weekend. I think it only causes more problems than it solves. Now, in order to understand the situation, we need to look back to November 6th, the state elections in November. At this time, when the elections were carried out, the Democrats managed to win a majority in both the Chamber of Deputies, which is the lower house of the state legislature, and of course the Senate. They managed to gain a majority in the legislature, as well as having control of the executive. They could with that power and with a majority, they managed to pass several bills that a lot of people in Virginia have not been very content with. According to the Washington Examiner, and this is the source I'm using for what these guys actually posted, what these guys actually proposed and passed so far. The Senate Bill 69 amends Virginia law to restrict citizens' ability to purchase more than one handgun per month. Senate Bill 70 requires mandatory background checks for all private sales of guns, and Senate Bill 35 requires localities to ban guns at public events. Although Democratic Senator John Edwards struck the Assembly's most controversial legislation, Senate Bill 16, which would have prohibited the sale, possession, or transfer of assault rifle, many Republicans believe the House of Delegates will pass a similarly worded House Bill 961, which bans the purchase or possession of assault rifles in Virginia. Already, a lot of people are not liking these new laws that are being passed already. In fact, it even shows about 8% of all counties within the state of Virginia have already decided to call themselves Second Amendment sanctuaries. That means they will, and I repeat, they will not enforce these laws, believing that it would infringe on their Second Amendment rights. Already, there's been major amounts of opposition, organized opposition as a result of these gun control measures. So, this has even gone so far with the incoming gun rally this upcoming Monday, which, by the way, is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I will be making a video during that time. But in response to this, Ralph Northam, who, if you guys already recall, he had several scandals as a result of possible sexual assault allegations, and even the whole blackface Ku Klux Klan photo that he had to deal with. That's the same Ralph Northam that I'm talking about. Ralph Northam, on Wednesday, decided to issue a state of emergency, and even went so far as to ban all weapons from Capitol Square inside Richmond, which is where the gun rally is supposed to go. And when I say a ban on all weapons, I mean all weapons, not just firearms, all of them. Already, we're seeing that Ralph Northam is trying to come out to respond to this situation in the best way he seems to think is possible. But in all honesty, it seems like it's more of a paranoid attempt. In my personal opinion. He even went so far as to defend his actions, stating that according to state intelligences, sorry, I can't get my words right, they have found far-right groups and militias who are wanting to join these events. He even went so far as to invoke Charlottesville, which occurred in 2017, in which far-right and far-left groups came together and originally a protest became violent, which led to one person being killed and at least 30 bystanders injured. Now, I already have a problem with this because, well, originally with the whole Charlottesville, with what happened in Charlottesville, while there were definitely people on the far right that were there, and I'm really opposed to, I am opposed to them. They weren't the ones who committed the violence. They were there, and they were just nonviolent. Although there were still a lot of people that were just discontent with them, as much as I am. But it was when the Antifa and other far left groups decided to come in there and try to bash everyone and assault and commit arson. That's when things started to get out of control. And already there's this problem with Charlottesville. It's always, ever since that time, it's been made into a narrative as a response against many people on the right. And it doesn't. And speaking of Antifa, by the way, Antifa is intending to join in on this rally in this strange way to actually support the gun rally. Yeah, I find that really weird, in all honesty, because Antifa is not well known for being, let's just say, polite about being part of a protest. Hell, their entire record has been about bashing people, hitting them, committing arson, doxing people for even the smallest of allegations of supposedly being a racist, a Nazi, or a white supremacist, or anything like that. That's Antifa. And to say that Antifa is joining in this gun rally sets off alarm bells. And with how Ralph Northam already issued his ban on no weapons, to me, it seems like if this does go through, violence is likely to happen. Because I don't trust Antifa. I do not trust them. Much like how I don't trust the KKK or any neo-Nazi groups. I despise those groups, and I despise Antifa, especially with what they did and what they have done, especially in places like San Francisco and Portland. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Why? But here's the reason why I think that Ralph Northam did what he did. He's trying to give himself some credit over responding to this supposed crisis. He's trying to make himself look more like a strong leader, one with a strong hand in trying to confront these problems. It's already shown with how he's defended his actions, invoking the whole Charlottesville issue, which honestly I do not believe that would have happened anyway. And he's already mentioned the whole far right groups and militias. I'm not saying that isn't true. It seems like it's eerily convenient with how Ralph Northam is just using that as an excuse. And obviously with his state of emergency, he's trying to make himself look good. He's trying to make himself look strong, especially with his resounding unpopularity with the previous scandals that he's mentioned before, on top with the unpopularity with these gun control issues that have been passed by the Senate as of late. I do not know if they've been passed by the Chamber of Deputies, but I wouldn't be surprised if they themselves would actually pass that and send it to the governor's office. So yeah, that's Ralph Northam is definitely trying to regain some of his credibility, get back as Virginia governor. I do not know if it's trying to trying to get into a second term for re-election, which is either 2021 or 2022. But nonetheless, I think that he's trying to regain his popularity amongst the people of Virginia, and I think that's backfiring with results. Partly because if this ban is actually used, and if Antifa does come, it's gonna cause there's definitely gonna be a possibility of violence. Because, like as I previously stated before, Antifa loves to commit arson and violence and hitting people, which they seem to see as their own way of protesting. Which, by the way, is not protesting, it's terrorism. You're using violence in order to spread a political agenda. And I think that's what will likely happen if Antifa does come there. And it doesn't help with this whole state of not having any weapons whatsoever in order to defend yourself. That would honestly cause a whole lot of people to be, well, uncomfortable with the situation. And with Antifa being not really considered good model citizens for the United States, especially with committing these crimes and terrorist acts, I wouldn't be surprised if they themselves carried weapons or pepper spray or anything like that in order to deal with the whole gun rally that is coming up this upcoming Monday. But there is a good news to all this, because just recently, just yesterday, the same gun rally, excuse me, the same gun rally group that is going to appear on Martin Luther King Jr. Day tried to go to the Supreme Court of Virginia. And unfortunately, while the ban is still in place, and that there idea for trying to remove this ban, it was rejected, it may potentially go to the district court or even the Supreme Court. Because this is definitely a major issue in terms of how the state abides by the Second Amendment. And, of course, it's going to be dealing with the whole issue of the 10th Amendment as well, considering that within the 10th Amendment, anything not within the Constitution, the states can't... Any power within the Constitution goes to the states. And it's definitely going to be a major showdown. Although I'm not sure if it will go to the Supreme Court, considering that they're a little bit iffy, especially with the whole polarization of the country. But then again, it wouldn't be the first time they had to deal with these gun control cases. So, in all honesty, it's up in the open, in my personal opinion, on that specific thing. Regardless, what Ralph Northam is doing is only going to cause more violence. It's going to cause more resentment. It's going to cause more discontent amongst the people of the Commonwealth of Virginia. I think that's going to be shown not just during this gun rally, and in terms of how many people will be there, but especially within the polls and the coverage afterwards. I believe that as a result of this, people will start being even more discontent and rise up against the state government as a result. They will definitely call for these bills to not be passed, to be disregarded as law. And especially, like as I previously stated before, they're already showing that with establishing Second Amendment sanctuaries. If that doesn't capture Ralph Northam's attention, I don't know what will. All I know is that I'm pretty sure Virginia and its population will be even more angry with its own state government. My name is Noah, and all the Arc Truth. Please post your comments down below, like this video, subscribe, and share with your friends. Also, if you have any issues regarding my videos, such as how I frame them, how I speak, or if you have any ideas of improvements in general, or other topics you want me to talk about, please be sure to post them down in the comment section down below. or directly message me up above. Thank you.